Woe to you, O earth and sea. It's Eamon here in the west of Ireland with the silly horns on me. And that must mean it's time for another Iron Maiden guitar tutorial. So the guitar solo from The Number of the Beast, it's a bit of a strange one for me actually. I've never actually sat down to learn it until I was asked to for the purpose of this video. It's one of those songs that Iron Maiden play at every single gig and through the various lineups where Yannick Gers has played a solo, and whenever Adrian Smith wasn't in the band he even took the solo, I think, at the early stages of the reunion. And Dave Murray's solo has changed over the years as well. So it's hard to say what a definitive version is other than the studio version. So I've gone with what the studio version is for the purposes of this video. Before I start going into the solo, I'll take you through the guitar tone that I'm using, simply because people are always asking me about the tones that I'm using on these videos. So here it is. Okay, so for the guitar tone, I'm going to take off everything that I have here using the pedal and let you hear what I'm using on my amp. I'm using my Line 6 Spider 4, and I've got a fairly bassy, clean sound with a little bit of delay on it. That just bolsters the sound of the solo. The only reason I've got the amp so bassy is because the distortion sound that I'm using on my pedal here is really quite sharp and quite harsh. That's something I need to sort out myself. So when I go to my pedal, my Digitech RP500, I'm using a fairly basic heavy metal distortion on here. I've got reverb on it. I'm going to add a touch of delay as well for the solos, which you can hear kicking in there. And also there's an extra distortion boost on there that I was using during the Adrian Smith sequence. For the Dave Murray portion then, I'm adding some wah-wah to that, so it's the same sound just with the wah-wah. I'm not using the neck pickup here, or the neck and the middle pickups, as Dave Murray would tend to do, because he's obviously got the humbuckers up here and the neck pickup's very weak on this guitar, as I've said elsewhere. But once you put the wah-wah pedal on, it makes the difference. So that's the tones I'm using. I'm sorry I can't be any more technical about it. I'm not very technical minded when it comes to these things, using the kind of Steve Vai sequence that you can hear now.
Guitar's up 0.3, bass up 0.4, kick down 0.5, overhead's up 0.4, less gate on the snare, and 3 dB added a 10K on the Pultex to the rhythm guitar.
That's not really what I do. I just tend to listen to it, get the sound that I think sounds best, and use it. Okay, so the first part of that solo is the Dave Murray solo. and you'll need your wah-wah for that. So I'm going to be leaning forward here as I use it. I'm controlling it kind of from the bassy part slightly into the mid, about midway. And the first part of solo goes like this. Okay, so slowed down now with the metronome, it sounds like this. So part 2 of the Dave Murray solo can be broken down into 3 separate little sections. That's how I've best remembered it anyway. It's quite fluid, it's very typical Dave Murray, and this might not be exactly right, but it's not far off it. This is a part 2 for you anyway. Lots of trills, and it's good to have fun with. Here we go. So, I break that down into 3 sections, which is what I would call the initial trill section, which goes like this. That's part 1. Part 2 is a sliding trill down. And part 3, he does like a reverse. That's the 3 sections. 1, 2, 3. So here it is slowly with the metronome. So for the final part of Dave Murray's solo, it's just a little run that he does. This is different to how he performs it live now. Now what he does is he does like a fast picking scale that's similar. But listening to the studio version, this is what I believe he plays. So, the Dave Murray solo over, you can knock your wah-wah off, and it's on to the Adrian Smith one. Now, I quite like this solo. It's fairly straightforward. It's got some fantastic vibrato bends in it, but as far as Adrian Smith solos goes, it's relatively basic. So part 1 is, it starts off with a little rock and roll kind of Johnny B. Good type bend thing. It's kind of funny because on the original version you can't really hear the third note. Well, I certainly couldn't anyway, but I knew he was playing the 3 full notes that I'm going to show you here because I've seen him do it in live videos. It sounds on the studio version that he's doing this. Whichever, it's either that or this one, the one that I was playing there. And that's followed off by a little run from on your 10th and 12th frets. So if you've mastered part 1, part 2 is the most difficult part of it really. It's just a series of runs really on your, I think it's a minor pentatonic scale on your D scale. I think the most important part of that phrase really is getting that bend at the end. For me, I found whenever I was learning it that once I had put that bend in place, it sounded like Adrian Smith. So part 3 is just a little, another little rock and roll type thing that he does frequently, and it's based up around your 17th fret there on your G string, and then you're using your 15th and 18th fret on your B string. It's just a matter of disciplining yourself to get this right. You play it at 1 speed for the first half, second half is just double the speed followed by a bend then on your 18th fret. So it goes like this. Finally, there's a couple of little hammer-on parts, followed by a little high run. Sounds like it. So there you have it. That's the guitar solo for The Number of the Beast. Apologies for taking so long to do another video. I shall of course be uploading more in the near future. Give me a shout if there's anything you'd like me to do, just as Derek did, and I'll do my best. So thanks for watching, and enjoy the solo.